I tried. I was
There
this
it goes.
close.
Yep.
Welcome into
I heard the music going off, and I was like, "Oh, he's gonna fuck it up. He's gonna have it on mute."
Mute, damn it. Well, welcome into an all new episode of Panthers on Tap. I'm Curtis Rauen, joined by Ricky Raines. Bryson Karbley will be joining us shortly. He's just dealing with some computer boot up issues, but he'll be in here in a few minutes. But Ricky, it's good to see you. We had, I think, a week off or so. But we're back. Schedule release tonight. So we're going to talk about that. We also there's a couple of things that, happened prior to our last episode. Jadeveon Clowney comes to mind, rookie minicamp. So we'll talk about all of that for you guys this evening. But
And
Ricky,
it's been that long since we did an
yes,
episode. That's crazy. It seems like so much has happened.
yeah, there's a lot that's went down. How are you tonight?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. Like the cool thing about the schedule release for me is that all year, man, I feel like all off season, we have been arguing with our own fan base, like arguing about draft, prospects and stuff like that, about who's the fastest one, who's fast enough to be taken at pick 8. And then all of a sudden the schedule gets released. Like no football has even been played, but the schedule gets released and we have hatred just spewing from us and the other fan bases. And it finally feels like football again, man. So I love it. I'm really excited to talk about the matchups. Excited to talk about some of the other moves too. But yeah, man, life is good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Busy day today. I look like I was a little sun-kissed. But we're here, man. We're ready to go.
Yeah,
We're ready.
We're here. We got people in the chat here too. Carlo, what up, Lo? How you doing, man? Happy Wednesday, fellas. What's up, Doug? Love the graphic, fellas. Yes, sir. Stopping by to show you fellas some love. Appreciate you, Doug. I know we got something in store with Doug coming up soon too.
Yes, we do. I don't know if Doug has pushed that out yet
Yeah, I
or
don't
not,
know,
but
so I won't say anything yet. But
yeah.
And then we got some strange guy, Bryson. Panthers on tap. Let's go, boys. I'm hoping that means he's going to be here shortly.
Yeah, he better be.
Oh, and there's my favorite YouTube account, Pets in a Bathtub. It's the best name going, man. It's absolutely tremendous. What's up, Pets in a Bathtub?
Pets in a Bathtub. Is that your dog? And if so, what is said dog's name? I'm curious. Shannon Bass.
Shannon?
Bass has been with us a couple times.
Yeah. She was in on the hat raffle a couple weeks ago too.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I'm sorry, Doug. I literally have not been on Twitter all day long. I've been out of the mix, honestly. So I apologize if you have tweeted that out already. But yeah, we're gonna be Ricky and I will be going on Doug's show tomorrow. We'll be pretty much grading this entire roster and what our confidence level is in position groups. So it'll be a good one. I'm excited. I think it's the second time I've collabed with Doug. Ricky, I think you've done maybe a couple more times than I have.
Can't even keep track of how many,
good.
Man. Yeah, it's been fun. Doug always puts together a good show.
My kids are using this YouTube. Hey, don't. Your kids know what's going on. Then I mean, that's the reality. So, but Ricky, what are you drinking tonight?
Yeah, I kept it kind of easy, but it is a cool IPA. It is a IPA from Burial Brewery, which is one of my favorites up there in Nashville. And it's IPA called A Disease of Virtuous People. Not really any kind of significance to that or anything, but I just wanted a really nice IPA to sit here and talk about the schedule release. So that's what I got. 7%. Good beer, man. It's a West Coast style. I get really caught up in like the juicy, hazy IPAs, but there's so many cool IPAs out there, man. So I got to remind myself to go back to the West Coast every now and then, which the Panthers will be doing too. There's a nice little segue. Look at that.
I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention. What brewery is that from?
Look at this. Look at this. Everyone who is listening live, just look at how Curtis is paying zero attention to the show he's doing. This is from Burial Brewery, which is in Nashville. This is A Disease of Virtuous People. It's got some cool dead flowers on the can.
Oh, yeah. I like that can.
Yeah. It's a good beer, man. Burial always does terrific stuff with their IPAs. If you can find IPAs, go and grab them. from Burial because they always put out some really cool seasonal stuff. What are you drinking? What kind of wine do we have tonight?
No wine, and actually, we went to some wineries this last weekend because my wife wanted to for Mother's Day, and I don't know if we ended up buying anything. Like, we just got a bunch of glasses, and she did some tastings, and Peconi, if you ever out in, I think it's Yadkin County, Peconi is a really good winery.
Okay.
We were out there, but it's the basic. I do have Spotted Cow, but I'm trying to save that for some folks too. So I'm trying to, whatever's in the fridge is what we're going to get. But hey, look at this guy. Who the hell is it? Who the hell is this guy?
Our show just got a third handsomer.
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry, I had some updates that I was not aware of on my laptop. So, of course, that takes forever anytime you got to do that. And I'm glad that I made it. And I'll let you know what I'm drinking real quick. I am drinking some other Bull City cider stuff that my wife brought home. This is called the Ludicrous. I think it's like a blueberry cider. And it's actually pretty good. I got another big thing of it here. Came in like a crowler, so I think it's like 2 beers worth, and then I got a Michelob Ultra ready to go on deck as my backup.
Like that.
Oh, nice. He's got shit on deck. Look at that.
Hey, speaking of on deck, pets in the bathtub is drinking Blue Moon. I like to think that it's all the pets in the bathtub drinking Blue Moon, you know?
Miller Lite kind of night for Zach Griffin.
What's up, Zach?
Zach, good to see you in here.
Chat, y'all got to let us know, too, what your initial thoughts are on this schedule, too, man. We want to bring up some of those comments throughout the show. So if you got a game that you're looking forward and stuff like that, drop that in the chat, too.
But before we get to the schedule release, look at that. Jadeveon Clowney is released by the Carolina Panthers. Not a shock to really any of us on this show. I'll just jump out and say that because I don't think it really was. We talked about it before our last episode after the draft. And I mean, all signs were pointing to they were non-committal on him. Dan Morgan, especially, who was asked about it a couple times and didn't really, we're still kind of working through it, is basically what he said. So let's start with Ricky here. What'd you think of this move? Because I have questions.
Are you starting with me because I didn't have the happy reaction to this one?
No, I'm just giving Bryson a little time to get settled, but go for it.
So look, here's my deal with this, right? This doesn't break the Carolina Panthers football team losing Jadeveon Clowney. This doesn't change 100% of who we are, who we can be, anything like that. And like you said, Curtis, this isn't a surprise, right? There was a lot of people react to this and be like, I don't know why y'all are shocked about this. It's not shock. I just don't particularly agree with this being the best football move for the football team. We can talk about money if you want to and creating cap space. I also just think that it's a little bit, what's the right word? Naive, maybe, to say that this is the only way to create that amount of cap space. I think that there are plenty of other avenues. And I think that all we have preached all off season is, trust Brant Tillis, trust, like that, the brain to come in and be able to make the numbers work. I mean, I think he could have made it work and kept let's just call it what it is. I think he's the best edge player that was on the roster, most all-around player. I think that if you look at how he was deployed here in Carolina in his 1 year, as opposed to last year, which is maybe one of his best statistical seasons, the year he had in Baltimore. In Baltimore, he rushed the passer 5 times more than he was setting the edge, right? Like that was what they did. They tried to keep him focused and pointed to what they wanted him to be tasked with. And here it was like the opposite. Part of that was game script. We were never in a situation to really rush the passer because teams didn't have to throw the ball all that much on us. But like there are ways that if you'd have kept Jadeveon Clowney on this roster, I think that it's a terrific learning experience for your 20-year-old rookie that you just took in the second round, Nick Scorton. I think it's a terrific learning experience for Princely Umanmielen, who, these are guys that are going to come in and we're anticipating them being stalwarts for us and cornerstones of this defense. Who better to learn from than a guy who has been in the NFL with all the expectations of the world and continued his career? He signed with different teams. He's been productive. Maybe he hasn't been the elite transcendent type of player, but he has been a very good football player everywhere that he's played. And people say, well, he's not the mentor type. He doesn't want a mentor. How many times have we heard, even Panthers legends, when they talk about, yeah, no one really took me under their wing necessarily when I got into the locker room, but I watched from a distance. I watched and learned what it takes to succeed in the NFL. And I think that's what I anticipated, that he was the only veteran that I would want someone to model their routine after, to model their work ethic after. DJ Wanham, I don't have a problem with DJ Wanham. But if we're saying that DJ Wanham is like head and shoulders better than Jadeveon Clowney and that that's the veteran that you want your young guys to learn from, I just disagree with that. I think that he has the potential to be a really good football player for us, and he's going to get that opportunity with more reps. Pat Jones, I hope that works out. But these are rotational role players that we're going to ask to take on significant roles. And we're going to ask our rookies to take on significant roles early. And if they're not ready for that, yeah, they're going to have to. And if they're not ready for
that, I'm saying when you didn't have to. They didn't have to.
Right. And if they're not ready, man, it's going to be trial by fire. And I'm not opposed to that. Like, I don't think that they're going to sink. I think that they'll swim. I think they're good football players. I think we all know that I liked both of them a lot. But again, man, these are rookies coming into the NFL. So I don't know. It's not going to change the trajectory of this team, but I didn't like it.
Bryson?
Yeah, I mean, it was an unnecessary risk that they're taking at this point. I guess we're waiting to see the follow-up move from releasing him and getting that whatever it was, $7 million in cap space for the release. People anticipate maybe a move at safety or whatever the case may be. But to go off Ricky's point, it puts a lot of added pressure on the guys you brought in the draft, and on Princely and Nick Scorton, and then Pat Jones and DJ Wanham, who's proven that he can't stay healthy and stay on the field. And then Pat Jones, who comes in as a rotational player. Like, you're putting so much pressure on these guys in year one in this defensive system to perform, and that was completely unnecessary. I don't think removing Jadeveon Clowney from the situation, the team, the defense makes this team any better whatsoever. I would say I would be on Ricky's side that it arguably makes them worse. And even if you're just talking purely from a depth standpoint in that positional group of an edge rusher. So, I think last season Clowney ranked, I think, amongst the top 10 in run stop rate at the edge rushing position. And then his pass rush win rate was actually pretty high too. I believe it was top 15 in the league, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he didn't play bad. And who did he have on that defensive line with him?
Right.
Literally no one.
Yeah.
No one. It was him or nothing. So I think if you keep him around and you surround him with these new additions, maybe we see his play take another step here in Carolina. But again, just an unnecessary risk that I just didn't agree with. Again, is it going to make or break the team? No, but it's just when you can keep your team better, why not keep them better instead of potentially harming yourself? And I felt like, again, it was unnecessary. We'll see what they do with that extra cap space, but still, I think keeping that depth and arguably your best edge defender was more important than doing whatever they plan on doing with that extra cap space.
Yeah, I like the way you put that. It's an unnecessary move that they didn't need to make whatsoever. And I feel like sometimes in the past this has happened where they do this. And it's a move. It's like every offseason, there's one move where you're sitting there scratching your head like, we didn't need to make this move, but we're still making this move. Like, you weren't a very talented defense the way it was. You get rid of one of your best players on that defense last year. And I get the numbers weren't as great as folks would want it. He had 5 sacks or whatever it was. But he was still one of the best edge rushers in that room. And whether, I don't know if I can buy the reports that he's not a guy who's going to teach these folks. I don't know that. I'm not inside that locker room. But these rookies can learn some things from this guy. He's been around the block a hot minute. I mean, 10-plus years in the league at playing at a high level. Both rookies can come in and learn something from him. And you also don't have to rush those guys onto the field. And I get it. They want to be a developmental staff, but this one, I called it a head scratcher at the time. I knew it was coming, so I wasn't shocked. It was pretty clear that Dan Morgan wanted to cut bait, and it sounds like it was for cap purposes, mostly from Dave Canales' comments in the presser. But I just didn't think it was necessary, and it was for a team that lacked depth across the board last year and then go out and, cut bait with a guy in a room that lacked depth going into the draft. And then for the blasphemy of fans to say this room was overcrowded, excuse me, because we have DJ Johnson, who shouldn't be on this roster, and we have Amari Barno. And anyone who's mentioning that guy's name besides he should be cut, it shouldn't be talking. So, I'm sorry, but those guys are not probably playing a majority of NFL rosters. So you take those two off there. I mean, you're looking at the two rookies, DJ Wanham and Patrick Jones, who's new coming in. I mean, we don't know what this guy's going to do. They hope he's going to – I think they're hoping these guys can be, what DJ Wanham – well, I don't know if I can go that far and say they want him to be like Wanham and maybe Hunter was in Minnesota and try to create that tandem. But I didn't think the move was necessary whatsoever for this team.
And you bring up the point, and Ben for Keep Purring comments here as well. And it says, we have less help and less depth now at what was one of our weakest positions last year. And Curtis, you mentioned it too, though. Like the depth was an issue already. And when you bring in extra guys, right? When you bring in the Pat Jones, you're like, hey, that's a good depth piece. That's a guy that can come in. They're talking about platoons and all that. But you're an injury away from one of these guys from having no depth again. Because you have, if you're talking about a top four now, right? Without Jadeveon, you're talking about DJ Wanham, Pat Jones, and then the two rookies. Those are who you're talking about, dude. We're not talking about DJ Johnson. We're not talking about Amari Barno. Like, that's not happening. At least not in my head. It's not happening, fellas. But if one of those two, that's just a backup for the starter, is all that is. One of those four go down, and you are playing a guy who probably doesn't get snaps on another NFL team, is what that comes down to. And we ran into that a lot last year, where I would go back and watch 2024 games, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, who is that out there? Like, what number is that on the edge? Charles who? Why is he rushing the edge? Why is he setting the edge? Like, where did our NFL players go? And you realize it's because you're one or two injuries away from that same situation happening. It's the edge room. It's the secondary. We put a ton of guys on the defensive front. But what happens if you say, okay, hey, we just signed a lot of guys. We could probably get rid of A'Shawn Robinson now. Doesn't matter that he was probably our best player last year. We get Derek Brown back. So there's an extra one, right? You don't get rid of the depth. That's the whole point in creating depth.
And I'm not of the mindset, and I've seen folks like, oh, go let him play for a playoff team. No, fuck that. You sign him to a 2-year deal. If you want him to keep him here because he's a good football player and he's going to play, this is why I'm talking about this, because Mad for More brings this up. I don't buy that, because Clowney came out right after the fact and said he was shocked by the move and was not expecting this. And I didn't see that out of other players who were cut that really just didn't want to be here and had several other issues, aka Deontay Johnson. So I don't know if I buy that there was some underlying issue under this as well. I just wanted to throw that out there.
And there could be, but I think Lowe is right. If there is, I don't anticipate we ever find out about what that would be, right? But again, this doesn't make the Panthers suck way, way worse than they were going to suck. It doesn't make them way, way better. I hope that Scorton and Princely make the most out of their extra touches. But what if they're not ready? We talked about Princely being a DPR to start, because he's got a lot of work on that, edge setting and rush defense that he's got to really step up on. I don't know, man. You're just asking for a lot. Evero's system is not an easy one. Having a veteran, I don't think, is a negative thing, but that's okay.
All right, we're going to cap it there. I think that's a good place to stop. Let's move to the next one, because the Panthers love to do this a lot, where they try to drop multiple things at once so you cover up other things. A lot of teams do that.
Training camp.
Yeah, exactly. But Panthers placed Jonathan Brooks on the PUP list, out for 2025 season. I think a lot of us expected this from what they were talking about last year, but nonetheless still sucks for a guy who we all had high hopes for. So Bryson, we'll start with you on this reaction to this move by the Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, I fully expected, based on the timing of when the injury happened last season, that he was not going to be back for this upcoming season. So this isn't surprising. give him time to get healthy and hopefully make a full return from back-to-back ACL tears. I mean, it sucks. It really does, because we saw just in a small glimpse of the kind of player that he is when he's on the field, when he played for a couple of games here in Carolina this past season. That's why they brought in Rico Dowdle. They knew that Brooks wasn't going to be available this upcoming season. So it sucks, but, they've added depth to that running back room with the draft. And then, like I said, bringing in Dowdle. So, rest up, get healthy, and return in 2026, ready to go, because I think he can. I still have high hopes for him when he's healthy. I think he can be a legitimate 3-down back in the NFL. And I hope the injury does not, set him back mentally. I think would be my biggest worry, back-to-back injuries like that. Being a running back is I couldn't imagine the mental wear and tear it has, especially when you're back and you're making those cuts. So we'll see what takes place, but I still have high hopes for him, and I think he will be a good player in Carolina at some point whenever he's healthy and able to return to the field.
I'll ask it differently, Ricky, for you, just to switch it up. Do you think he ever gets back to, I don't know if you want to say pre-injury college form, or right, gets back, or is 1,000-yard back in this league? Let's just say that.
Yeah. Before I answer that, can I say thank you to Bryson for that giant mug? Because every time you take a sip of that, man, it's comical, man. Like, that thing is gigantic looking on screen. So that's awesome. Jonathan Brooks, do I think that he could get back to it? Yeah. There's actually something interesting that I saw somebody say, and it gave me this weird glimmer of hope that I don't think that I had really thought of before. Someone mentioned that it's possible that with how long it took him and whatever complications or whatever may have come with the first surgery, right, that maybe that ACL didn't take. Maybe that surgery didn't really get as successful as it needed to for reconstructive surgery, right? Maybe he healed up enough that he could get out there and play, but it may not have taken the way that it needed to be fully healed and be able to withstand the physical rigor of playing running back in the NFL. If that's the case, then there's also a possibility that this second procedure is really the first complete corrective procedure that could be taking place here. And if that is the case, I think it takes a little bit of stress off of those ligaments. I think it takes a little bit of a detour away from the, oh man, this is terrible. Like, that's 2 in a row. Maybe not. And there's not extra injuries that are, piggybacking off of this thing. It is the ACL. It is an ACL tear. And that's what kind of made me think about that comment a little bit, that perhaps this is the first reconstructive again. That's not like something that I would bank on, but we have seen athletes come back and find success after multiple significant injuries, right? We have seen Panthers players do that. Jonathan Brooks is a young man, and by all accounts, he's a hard worker. And I think that there is a real possibility that in 2 years, not this year, but next year, we're looking at a combination of Jonathan Brooks, Chuba Hubbard, and Trevor Etienne. And we look at that and say, that's a pretty complimentary football room right there. Because that's the other part of why they took Etienne, is that he works on multiple timelines. He works with the guys we got, and he works with the guys we could have. So I'm going to stay optimistic about it. I was a big Jonathan Brooks fan, and I do think from a physical standpoint, it is entirely possible. It's just a matter of, will it happen or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think there's been guys who have come back from injury and still played at a pretty high clip. And I just have faith in Jonathan Brooks. Even the little brief stint he had in moments for Carolina, there was some flashes even then. So like, I still believe in him, and I think Carolina, they went out and got Dowdle just for that 1-year rental option. And, their plan was all along to bring in a rookie as well. And then, like Ricky said, I think the ultimate goal is Hubbard, Brooks, and Etienne in that running back room. And that's a pretty damn good running back room if he can get back to a decent standard, at least for running back. So, yeah, I mean, I think, what he showed in college was pretty damn impressive. So I have all the faith in the world. I know it sucks and it seems wasted at this point, that pick right now, because it's literally 2 years of not really having that. What was he, a second rounder? I can't even remember. Yeah, late second rounder.
And you could call a spade, right? It is kind of a wasted pick. You don't got him for 2 years. That sucks. Yeah. But I'm also not going to put any kind of negative stuff out there for Jonathan Brooks, man. This dude's probably working his ass off, and we're Panthers fans. Don't we want him to come back? Like, I don't want to sit there and be one of those people that are like, oh man, told you we shouldn't have taken the injured guy. I want to be one of the people that are like, told y'all we should have. I want him to ball out, man. I don't know.
Let's go to minicamp. The brief, 2 days of practice with the rookies playing against air.
Exhilarating.
But it gives us excitement and some hope of what we've seen. Hey, and they're wearing processed blue for a couple days.
Yeah, that was good.
And I know that gets Ricky a little excited. So
it gets me a little riled up. Don't take much. I'm a simple man.
But guys, give me one player from the, let's say, 30 seconds of action you got to see on Twitter from the videos. One player, and if we double up, because there isn't a whole lot, but one player you are excited about going into training camp from that rookie class, even if it's an undrafted guy. Bryson, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I feel like there's one obvious one. There's probably two obvious ones, but I'll go with my guy, man. The one I was happy Carolina selected, like number 8 overall, T-Mac. Just seeing him run routes against air, really does it for me. And I'm really excited to, I guess, not see him at training camp this year or next year. But in the preseason, possibly, I think Dave Canales has learned his lesson about not playing starters. So I imagine he'll get some time in the preseason, and then, which is like a little over 2 months away. Like we're quickly approaching. So, I think that's exciting. He's going to be a weapon for this offense, and he's going to be so fucking good. Like I'm so excited just to see him play football for this team. So he was my number one, and I won't even mention the other one just in case you guys.
Don't mention the other one.
But yeah, T-Mac was my favorite thing to see.
Before Ricky goes, I forgot to say this off the top, but we do have a super chat. Don't be afraid to use it. It's the little money icon on YouTube. So if that's a comment, what your thoughts are on the schedule, if you are so gracious, we would appreciate it. And yeah, Ricky, who was one of your guys that kind of flashed for you in the 20 seconds you saw?
Honestly, it is T-Mac, to be completely honest, man. Like, and I know the other guy that B Pays in the chat has said that, Curtis, I'm assuming you are also going to be a fan of that one.
We'll see.
Yeah, but look, T-Mac, man, like, he looked like what you wanted to see him look like. And that is exactly what Bryson said, though. It's against air. So none of it really matters right now. And I preface everything by saying that when it comes to these little 2-day camps, when no one's playing actual football, they're doing routines. They're, there's individual drills that they're working on. But what I saw from T-Mac is I saw him working one-on-one very close with the wide receivers coach. I heard good things about the fact that he was like really soaking in everything from the wide receivers coach. You see him, and this is something that everyone has talked about, his ability to pluck the ball, right? He doesn't let it get into him. He plucks it out of air. That is something that you want to look for there. We got accustomed to seeing our first-round pick last year let the ball get into his body and do a lot of body catches, despite the fact that he was a plucker at college and that high pointing was his thing. T-Mac, we saw a lot of passes that were behind him. I don't know if that's on Ethan Garber intentionally, if he was that accurate.
Dude, he was throwing a million passes.
Yeah, no, look, I'm not dogging on him, man. I was actually trying to
dogging him. That was a shitty throw.
I was trying to give him some credit. Maybe that was intentional. Maybe like, hey, make it difficult on him. And maybe Garber is just that accurate of a passer that he was like, hey, watch out, Jack Plummer. I'm coming for that quarterback 3 spot, But either way, what you saw from T-Mac is what you hope to see. I will go ahead and just plug my guy, Nick Scorton, one time. There was one drill that I saw for about 7 seconds And it was, the footwork drill, and he was faster with the feet than Princely Ubermielen was.
I have a question on that actually for you.
Yeah.
Because Dunk brought it up, and I didn't notice it until he did, and I wanted to just get your take.
Mm-hmm.
Him looking at his feet. Did you see that at all when you watched it? And just
is it probably, the same drill? Was it the same drill?
Where he's doing the
going over the bag and the irons. Yeah.
And he was it looked like he was just staring at the
ground. Supposed to. Yeah, you're supposed to look forward. I mean, that's definitely something that you're trying to do.
I was just curious if you picked up on that, because I saw Dunk's comment. I'm like, I didn't even notice that the first time I watched it.
To be honest, no, I didn't. I know what you're talking about, though, and I guess I'd subconsciously noticed it or something, but I just don't put too much into it. It was more just seeing the fluidity of his feet and how light he looked with the weight drop, right? That was more so what I was just looking at. But no, from a technical standpoint, hey, chin up, buddy. Like, look forward,
I was shocked knowing. I thought one of you guys were going to mention Jimmy Horn. He obviously was one that came to mind with just his quickness. I was going to go with an outlier here, and there wasn't much on him, but Lathan Ransom. And just some of the little brief video I saw, he just seemed very quick with his feet, and that impressed me, and kind of got me excited a little bit, because that was that fourth round for me. I had some questions with just entirely. So just to see that brief little moment that he had I think it was like maybe one or two videos, it sparked my interest a little bit. But yeah, Jimmy Horn was one too. I also agree with you guys with Tetairoa McMillan. I think he's pushed all of the pre-draft conversations about, the tape. Does he have I don't know if it's even right to say like the drive to want to study and all that. I think he's put that mostly.
I was the only one defending him on the show.
Yes, you were. You deserve your flowers for that. Hey, we were going off of stuff that goes out. I mean, you got to talk about, but anyway, you were right. But yeah, I mean, I think he put clearly all of that to bed. I do. And just the brief little snippets of, his conversations with Rob Moore, I thought were really interesting. But Jimmy Horn, he's exciting. I know he's a 6th-round pick, so you got to temper expectations sometimes, because we all know what happened. Panthers traded away that 6th-rounder last year, and then the guy didn't even make the team where, his coach was on the defensive staff at Michigan. So, you got to take everything with a grain of salt, but if they hit on him, this could be a pretty big draft for Dan Morgan. So,
I mean, Jimmy Horn Jr. is fast as hell. Yeah. Like, he's quick as hell, dude. Like, those little clips that we saw, the acceleration was real. It was apparent, and that is something that just doesn't exist in the wide receiver room, really on the roster, right? So, yeah, that's an obvious one. I was trying to save that for you, Curtis. I know that you've had a long day at work. I was trying to give you a softball there and let you have the big hit.
I just didn't want to do an obvious one, and there was something I like that Ransom did, so I had to mention it.
Fair enough. And by the way, just to bring this up, Bryson was the only one that defended Tetairoa McMillan on the love for football thing. I'll say,
let's put a banner. Let's put a banner the rest of the show.
Can you get one that runs across the bottom of the show, please, for me?
I've got at the actual pennant making place. I've got that making you a banner that we're gonna hang from your window, and it'll just say Bryson defended.
Yes. I'll put it
perfect
right up there. Before we move on, I wanted to ask one thing.
No one mentioned Princely. All right.
Yeah, Princely's exciting in the 10 seconds we got to see. Ricky, where did you get that hat? I have been staring at it all night, and I want that hat.
Yeah, is that a new one? I was going to ask you that.
No, that's an old hat, man. I told y'all. Look, we've had private conversations about this off film before. I have a closet that is literally just like 3 shelves filled with Panthers hats. I don't even know what all of them are anymore. I go into like a thrift store. If they have anything that has processed blue, I buy it. I probably have a shit ton of like Duke's Mayo hats in there just because it looked like a Panthers hat, like anything that's processed blue, I'm getting it. But so I dug through the closet about a week ago and picked this one out.
Fire, dude.
Yeah,
Ricky,
and that's got the old logo too.
Say what? Oh yeah, that's the old logo. Too. It's got the Panthers on the side of it.
Gosh, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm pissed. Ricky, you reminded me. I literally bought a hat. Like, I posted it on Twitter like 2 weeks ago, and I didn't wear it. I totally forgot that I bought it. So it's somewhere up there, and it's an older one too.
It happens, man. Like I've got a bunch of them that I just find them, and I'm like, oh, hey, that was a good hat. I'm gonna wear that this week.
Well, let's get to what you guys have, I'm sure, all been waiting for. And I'll be brutally honest with you. I got to see this schedule like 5 minutes before we got on the air. I've been offline all day. So you are going to get a true blue fucking reaction from Curtis because I didn't get to really dissect this much. I was kind of going through, me and Ricky were kind of talking about it before. But anyway, let's start. We're going to walk through the games. We're not going to jump around. I'm sure Bryson wants to end this shit in about 10 minutes, but it ain't going to happen. But let's go through the first two games. Let's start with that. So well, I'll mention preseason. So preseason is that they play Cleveland, it looks like, the Texans, and then the Steelers, who they play almost every freaking year in preseason. And both of them, they got
that's
two.
a hell of a point here from B Pays. Get to see Shador in their preseason game. Yeah, good call.
That's exciting.
Yeah. I didn't, and that's a home game too, so you'll be able to see him in Charlotte. And I'm sure Pittsburgh, if Rodgers is there, he won't be playing at all in preseason, but there's that little wrinkle as well. So those are the three preseason games. And then let's start with those first two. So Jacksonville on the road, and then we have the Arizona Cardinals on the road. So back-to-back road games. That was probably my biggest thing. That was the first thing I think I said to Ricky was, damn, their first home game is week 3. Not a big fan of that. But let's talk about that Jacksonville matchup. I think the big obvious one in the room is Travis Hunter. But Ricky, let's start with you. Thoughts on opening the season in Jacksonville?
I think it's a really interesting contrast of teams and where the franchises are at. Both teams are building around their young quarterbacks, right? They drafted Travis Hunter. He's going to play more wide receiver out of the gate than people think, is the perception that I'm understanding out of Jacksonville. They got Brian Thomas Jr. Now, the interesting thing is they get rid of Christian Kirk, which a lot of Jacksonville fans are happy about. But prior to last year, he was probably their best receiver. And they got rid of Evan Ingram, which, again, a lot of Jacksonville fans seem okay about. But he was one of Trevor's favorite targets. And they replaced that with Diami Brown and Brenton Strange. And Brenton Strange is essentially Tommy Tremble. If you're talking about like what he does on the field, he's Tommy Tremble. Could he take to the next level that you're always hoping that Tommy takes it to? For sure. But has he yet? Nope. Right? Skill set's very similar. Size is pretty similar. I think that what I look at with this team or with this matchup here, it's not so much about the quarterbacks as it is everything else around them. Can they be enough to help out and win a football game? I think that Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I also think that he's 22-38 in his career, and he signed for $275 million before last season. And last season, he went 2-8. And everyone likes to bring up that he was injured. He was injured in week 9. He was 2-6 before he was injured. Like, he wasn't playing well. The guy did not play well. And you can say whatever you want to about the supporting cast. Bryce Young didn't have a supporting cast, right? And he won more games than Trevor last year. And we had the NFL's worst defense. So did we do more than the Jaguars did in the offseason? I think so. The other part of Trevor's thing that I think is really interesting, I read an article not too long ago on NFL.com that was talking about, Liam Cohen wanted Trevor to work on his footwork. He wanted him to change some things. His fundamentals
for fucking blood, and I love it.
Yeah, I am. Well, no, because you know what, man? You know what, though? There are Jacksonville fans that were sitting there and making fun of the fact that Panthers fans thought we stood a chance in this game. No one called it an easy win. I didn't see a single place where I saw Panthers fans be like, that's an easy dub. Put it on the board. All I saw was Panthers fans not scared of that, right? And maybe I'm from just a different era or something. I'm 37, so maybe the people on the internet are 21 or something like that, and they're just like, hey, that's not nice. You can't say that. Look, I'm from before the game. I don't care if my team had 0 wins and it was an undefeated team we were playing against. I'm walking up to you before the game, and I'm, hey, can you just do me a favor, point out where your mom is in the bleachers? Because I just want to make sure I know where I'm headed after the game to get family pictures with my son. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I don't care how bad I am. I am talking shit, man. That's part of sports. It's something that I have ingrained in me. I'm doing it. And so getting to do this with other fans, I'm going to do it. But back to Trevor Lawrence, Liam Cohen asked him to work on his footwork. Well, he's coming off of shoulder surgery for an AC joint on his non-throwing shoulder. But it's really hard to work on tying your bottom half to your upper half fundamentals when you can't throw the football. And they talked about him being optimistic about being ready for the start of 25. Okay. We were optimistic that Jonathan Brooks was going to be ready for the start of 25. So anyone who's sitting here saying this is an easy thing for the Jags because the Panthers defense sucks, what if Trevor Lawrence isn't 100%? What if he ain't even ready? And what if he has no rapport with the wide receiver that they just drafted because he hasn't thrown to him at all? And that wide receiver is still a rookie, for crying out loud. Marvin Harrison Jr. was a better prospect than Travis Hunter as a wide receiver in all consensus grades. And he did not come out of the gate firing. So all I'm saying, we got continuity on our side. For the first time in Carolina Panthers argument's sake, we're going into year 2 with the same cast. We're going into year 2 with the same coach. And we have a quarterback that showed promise at the end of the year instead of a quarterback that fell apart and regressed last season. So, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Panthers dub.
I love it. Bryson.
Yeah, Ricky, you say that you haven't seen or heard anyone say it's an easy win, mark it as a W, so on and so forth. And I'm here to tell you this is an easy win, mark it as a W, so on and so forth. I mean, that's why I texted you guys. Like, let's plan our away trip to this game because we're going to be leaving with a W. I mean, plain and simple. Ricky, you mentioned a lot of the points I was going to bring up. Trevor Lawrence coming off an injury, new head coach in Jacksonville that was like their third option that they had to like steal away from the Bucs after he had signed a contract with them. So they like threw ungodly amounts of money at him for him to go behind the scenes and void his contract. It was a weird situation, and we saw him say Duval. I mean, my God.
Duval.
Like, that shit's embarrassing. So Carolina's going to go down there and whoop ass week 1. I really believe that. I wish Jadeveon Clowney was there to do it. But, hey, you know what? Pat Jones and DJ Wonnum, hopefully they make a name for themselves right out the gate. And as a tandem in Carolina, and those rookies come in and play well too. But, I am not scared. Jacksonville's one of the worst teams in the league. Like, I'm not going to sit here and shiver in my boots against the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? I'm sure they're saying the same thing about the Carolina Panthers, right? Our record wasn't good last season either, but our team's better, and I will stand on that. Like, we have a better quarterback, a better running back,
better wide receivers line.
Wide receivers that have us beat. I'm not going to lie, but a better offensive line for sure. Brian Thomas Jr. is really the only thing that scares me on that offense because he's a hell of a player. He is one of the rookie wide receivers that came out of the gate, balling. But I think it's not a defense that's overly scary either. I mean, they have some weapons on the defense that are quick off the edge. I think Josh Allen, he changed his last name to whatever the hell he changed it to. He's a good player, but again, not scared going into
Trayvon
Jacksonville.
Walker. Yeah,
Trayvon Walker, the number 1 overall pick that I guess is playing better. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. He's like the most forgotten number 1 overall pick ever. But I'm not scared. I'm glad that we're opening up with kind of this soft game, to be completely honest.
Soft game. He is throwing 7 kinds of smoke. I love it, Bryson.
Well, when I see Jags fans coming at us like they're not below us or on the same level at least, like, you got to have some humility, man. Like, you are the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? There has to be some mutual respect for the amount of horrors that both of our franchises have gone through in recent years, and you're acting like we're opening up against the fucking Rams week 1 or whatever, the Bills week 1. Like, you're not them. So calm down, learn your place, and Carolina's leaving with a dub.
Not so fast, my friends.
Oh, God. Here we go.
Here comes Negative Nancy. Negative Nancy.
I will say this. I didn't see any of this shit online today, so I don't know where. I mean, I hear it from what you guys have been saying, but no one mentioned this is the ETN Bowl. I mean, come on, guys.
Because it's not. Trevor Etienne ain't going to play that much either. It's Tank Bigsby is the running back that you want in Jacksonville.
But no. This offense has me a little scared, wide receiver wise. I think Brian Thomas Jr. was one of the best offensive players in the draft last year. Had a hell of a season. Travis Hunter scares me. I mean, you have those two guys. I don't have concerns with J.C. Horn, but anyone beyond that, I do have. I'm skeptical of in the secondary as far as corners are concerned. And then Liam Cohen.
How many wins?
And then
Brian
Liam
Thomas
Cohen.
lead
I
him to
have
last year?
Liam Cohen. Like, I didn't think he was going to do as well in Tampa Bay last year, and he did. He looked better than Dave Canales did with that offense. He did. I mean, you can't deny that. So that concerns me. The defense, I think that's where I think if Bryce Young plays to the level he played at the end of the season, and that translates over. And the thing that sucks, the history shows Bryce Young has never gotten off to a good start in a season. That's what concerns me. Can he turn the tide on that? If he does, I do think they could beat them pretty handsomely. But I don't know if it's going to translate as easy as everyone thinks it's going to right away. I hope it does, because then we're not going to have questions about anything really with this offense. But I do have concerns. I didn't really pick a winner. I honestly have. Like I said, I'm looking at this fresh, but I think it'd be close. I think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I'll go Carolina. I'll go Carolina win, but I think it's going to
All
be
that
really
shit talking on your own team just to pick them, boy.
I think it's going to. Well, I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Because I think if Trevor Lawrence is healthy, I think he's going to bounce back. Liam Cohen showed he could do it in Tampa Bay, and I don't know if I'm as high on Lawrence maybe as Ricky. I don't know how high you are on him, Ricky. I know you talked about him a little bit.
But, who, Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah.
I mean,
I've kind of lost a little faith in him, but I kind of have some faith in Liam Cohen, just seeing what he did.
I think Trevor Lawrence is super talented, but he's never put it together for more than stretches. So, like, why are we, as Panthers fans, I don't understand why I would be nervous or scared about a guy who's never put it together for long stretches, more than one season, really, just because what? Like, because he's 6'6"? If you remove the physical stature, what's the real big difference between him and Bryce and the way they've come into their professional careers?
Yeah.
Both of them came in with shit
His
situations.
weapons, I think, is the biggest thing for me.
But what if his weapons aren't that much better? You're talking about a rookie in Travis Hunter, and then Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas Jr. is a baller, dude. There is no doubt about that. But if that's the only sure thing they have,
you're confident in Travis Hunter going up against Mike Jackson? I'm not.
Why do we think it's going to be against Mike Jackson, though? We're going to be in cover 3. Ain't nobody traveling with nobody. like, you know what I mean? Like, it's Shaw Smith Wade who's going to see Travis Hunter more running across.
Scares the shit out of me too. That's what I mean.
Yeah, but hey, you got to protect Trevor Lawrence. He was getting sacked like crazy last season, right? And so if we have a revamped defensive line, I don't know, man. I think Big League Chew, Rico Dowdle, they're going to run it down the Jaguars' throat. And then I think Bryce is going to come out and he's going to do Bryce Young things like we saw at the end of last year. B-Bays also says the betting line is 2.5. That's for the Jags. I put up a stat that rookie head coaches in their first home games as a rookie head coach are 16, 24, and 1 since 2016. That percentage gets even worse when they're favorites. So if you're one of those people who like to bet and you need a landing page, first of all, the Panthers on tap have you covered. We'll have a little commercial for that later. But if you like to gamble, these are all things that you can remember for week 1 so that you can make a little bit of money and also have all your bookmarks brought up on Twitter so that you can rub it in Jaguars' faces. Florida man, right?
So Bryson, if I have this correct, said it was going to be a pretty big win. Where were you, Ricky? You said a win. You think it's going to be close or not?
I'm not going to even try to predict a score at this point. But
I'm not saying that. But like, is it?
No, I don't think it's like a blowout on either side. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think these two teams are relatively similar in where they are right now. But I'm going to bet on the team that has continuity and a quarterback that finished on a high note that has been throwing with his skill position players.
All right. That's fair. All right. So we're I tried to juke y'all, and then I ended up going with Carolina. I just couldn't go with Jacksonville week 1. I struggled with that. Even as much as negative I want to be. Just trying to bring everyone down to earth. Because Ricky, if you didn't see our title graphic, it said 17-0. So
That's the
I gotta
only
try to
prediction
bring
we
us.
should ever make.
I gotta try to bring us back down to earth a little bit.
Crazy. 17-0 all the way.
All right, let's go to Arizona. So they go from Jacksonville all the way to the West Coast. It's a 4:00 game. Carolina had several of those last year. Not too many. What, 2? Wow, 2 out of the whole year. Interesting. See, you guys are getting my fresh reaction. I didn't even get to actually analyze that a little bit. Bryson, start with you on this one.
Yeah, Arizona, the team that Carolina has historically had their number. I think this game, for me, in my opinion, is a little different than starting week 1 in Jacksonville. I think Arizona, I do like Kyler Murray a lot. I think he is, when he's playing to his best ability, he is a legitimate quarterback in this league that plays at a very high level. Martin Harrison Jr. coming into year 2, we'll see what kind of leaps he takes. I honestly am not too familiar with their defense. I don't think they're some world beaters, but
Josh Sweat, Walter Nolan.
Oh, they signed Josh Sweat. Okay.
Baron Browning, Sean Murphy Bunting.
Was not as high on Walter Nolan as you guys, but yeah, I think this game's going to be competitive. I really do. This one's going to be tough. I would say if Carolina can get a win here, great. But I don't think this is one I'm anticipating Carolina to go into Arizona and win this one. If I had to say right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go next, Ricky. Sorry,
Yep.
you can. Yeah, this is going to be a tough one. I know Arizona. I know Carolina beat them last year, and I really can't stand Trey McBride after that game. So I kind of hope they punch him in the mouth, if I'm being brutally honest with y'all. But they're a tough team. Kyler Murray, his mobility concerns me a little bit. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to have a bounce back this year for them. And then their defense, just looking at them on paper at least, they look pretty tough. And big Walter Nolan fan. I know Carolina, it sounded like they were fans as well. Josh Sweat and him, that's a pretty damn good tandem. They have pieces across several positions on that defense. So I do think it's going to be tough.
Trey McBride too. Didn't even mention him at the tight end position. He's a dynamic weapon for them.
Yeah, and he's out for blood in that game. Or, well, not out for blood, but he talked shit after the Panthers game, like we should have won that or whatever. He was running his fucking mouth. And Panthers bounced them, right? Like they needed to win that game to be in contention. Yeah, so he can kiss my ass. Yep. So I'm not a big fan of what he did there, but yeah, I think this is tough. Also, you're going West Coast. That's always a transition for anyone. I'm going to give them a loss here. I'll go 1-1 to start the year.
I think it's a tough game. I think that I'm more nervous about this football game than I am the Jaguars game. And I think it's because of the defense for me. Gannon and that defense, I think that's really the part that's a little bit tougher because I think they do a lot more exotic stuff. Cody Alexander, who is the owner and founder of Match Quarters and also works with Field Vision Sports, he was actually just talking about this on one of their recent episodes of Let's Talk Ball podcast. He was talking about what Gannon does and like how many NFL coaches and scouts and stuff text him and are just like, man, what they do on this defense is crazy. Like this is a wild defense. They do a lot of really fun, inventive stuff. That gives, I think, Carolina more fits than a defense that Bryce Young can anticipate what he's going to see. I think that post-snap stuff is really it is where Bryce can excel, though. So I don't want to make that seem like it's some sort of death wish for him. His ability to process quickly and see things and make the right decision, that is his like superpower, right? And we started to see that a lot, especially in that Eagles game where all of their stuff is post-snap in a Fangio defense. We started seeing all of that happen. And his ability to scramble, I think that our defense here is going to be the interesting part because the offensive line for the Cardinals, they've got the rookie from last year, I think it was Paris Johnson, and I think they got another rookie this year. It's going to be interesting to see if they can hold up. It's week 2. If we can send some pressure, we can get after Kyler Murray. It's not that I don't like Kyler Murray. I think he's a dynamic athlete, but he's really inconsistent for me. And so there's just not anything that scares me that much. Trey McBride, I don't really care about Trey McBride. He kind of showed his cards for me when he started saying, "Oh, we should have won that game." Shut up, man. If you should have won the game, go win the game. You know,
didn't Kyler get hurt in that game against Carolina this past year?
I think he came out for a couple plays, but I think he came back. I think he finished that game. Yeah, he didn't come out, I don't think, at the end. He's not like Trevor Lawrence where he gets hurt and doesn't come back. Sorry, Jackson. But no, so if I'm looking at this too, but I'm going to go off and say that the Jags won or that the Panthers won in week 1. I'm going to also say this then, that they've got momentum, that they believe in themselves, and that they remember that they own the Arizona Cardinals, and that they go in there and they play better than people think as well, and that they start the season 2-0.
I want to go back quickly because Matt mentioned this and no one talked about it. And I guess for me, my question would be, I don't think this has ever happened. I don't know. I probably wouldn't happen because these guys have to see each other in owners' meetings. But do you think it would be shocking if the Jaguars didn't allow Tepper to come to their stadium after the drink throw?
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that.
No?
That's not happening.
No.
Okay. Maybe that's
those guys are friends, man. He threw a drink on somebody because they were making fun of someone for having a concussion. I promise you, they've had a nice bottle of Macallan and gotten over it.
All right, I just thought I'd ask. Let's go. Excuse me. Let's go to the Atlanta game.
That's karma for thinking that they're going to keep Tepper out of a stadium.
Oh, we're not going down the Tepper road. Not tonight.
You will tip your hat right off your head for saying shit like that.
So this is the first home game of the year. Fuck the Falcons. Panthers by 1 million in this game. I hate their fans right now. I'm kind of. I've had some.
You are on their ass on Twitter.
I had some back and forth recently. This is like the Jaguars and Ricky for me. So I hope the Panthers mop the floor with their asses in Bank of America Stadium week 3. So give me the Panthers, like I said, by 1 million.
Yeah. Panthers 3-0.
I think the Panthers will split with the Falcons. So, if they lose here, they'll win in Atlanta. If they win here, I think they'll lose in Atlanta. So I would tend to believe that it's more likely for them to win in the bank versus this team. So I'll take the win as well. I'm not super, impressed or confident that Michael Penix is their future quarterback. I think we saw some glimpses last season, but there's still a lot more to see from him and on a consistent basis. So we'll see what he looks like going into week 3 next season. I think Atlanta's Atlanta, man. Like we go back and forth with them. It's always competitive. And I think, like I said, Carolina's going to split. So I'll take the win here at home. I got them 2-1 to start the season.
Ricky, did you go or?
Yeah, I just briefly said 3-0, and that's just what I mean. 3-0. They're going to win this game.
Damn, Ricky.
Yeah, 3-0. We're coming out hot and putting everyone on notice. Shout out to Marcus Aurelius Burner, friend of the show. Home opener against the Falcons is my birthday. Matt. Yeah, that's awesome, man. He's going to plan on being there for that one. And when Matt's in the building, usually good things happen. So yeah, I'm standing by the 3-0. And I think it'll be a relatively close game. I think Carolina wins like 274-6. I don't think it's a complete shutout. I do think that they will put some points on the board, but I think it'll be like, us handing the ball to Michael Penix, like you give it to like the young kid at like a football camp and everyone just opens up and lets him go. I think we'll do that with him.
Make a wish.
Go ahead, buddy. Yeah, go little buddy. Come on. You only got one more game left.
Oh, man.
Oh, I want to go down a rabbit. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but I kind of want to do.
Bryson doesn't have time for your rabbit hole.
Let's go to New England. So Carolina back on the road, going against the Mike Vrabel-led Patriots team. Yeah, this one has me nervous too. And it's not because of Drake May. It's because of the coach, to be honest with you.
Because of Jalen Holt. Go ahead, tell them the truth.
I forgot about him. I hope that. Oh man, I hope they. I hope Smith Wade puts the fucking clamps on him.
Me too.
Oh, that was like Ricky Worlds colliding right there between his hate for Smith Wade and his love.
Why do people think that I hate Shaw Smith Wade? When did I ever say I hate Shaw Smith Wade? Is it because I like Jacob Parrish? Like, this is a crazy thing that's happening.
Yeah, Ricky, you hate him. You don't gotta lie, dude. We know you hate him.
That's nuts. This is so crazy.
Well, Curtis.
Yeah, Bryson, you can start on this one.
Yeah, you should be afraid of Drake May.
Nah, not yet.
Yeah, he's a good quarterback, dude. And I am biased, but he is a very good quarterback. And they've improved their offensive line. They got a guy in free agency named Milton Williams. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but I think he was a Panther at one point during free agency.
Milton Williams Bowl.
So, and then you mentioned, they got arguably the second best coach in the coaching cycle this past offseason. Some people might like him better than Ben Johnson, but I think the Patriots are going to be a team that's better than what people expect. Not going to be an easy one. Going to New England, playing them there, we know how that fan base is. So I think this is a game Carolina wins, but I think it's super, super close, and it could go either way. So I'll give them a dub here, have them 3-1, but this is one I could see going either way.
I think that Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt are going to do like a combo power bomb on Milton Williams and just throw him so deep into the Foxborough dirt that he doesn't get back out. I think that they are going to make him regret not coming and playing in Carolina. I think that Mike Vrabel, the only way that he makes a huge impact in this game is if he decides to rush the passer, because they don't have anyone else that can really do it outside of Milton Williams. And once we suplex him into the turf, they're kind of shit out of luck. I think that Drake May is a talented football player. I think it would be great if he had talented football players to throw to. I don't know, man. Look, I'm not that worried about it. I think that we go in and we handle business against the Patriots. It's always going to be fuck the Patriots ever since the Super Bowl and all of that. It will never, ever, ever. We want to talk about like the Falcons and these other teams that we hate, man. I feel about the same damn way as the Patriots. So if I get a chance to root against them intentionally and also cheer for my team at the same time, I agree with Bryson. I do think it'll be close. I think that it's not going to be like that Falcons game. I think it's going to be 76-14, and it will be a difficult one. But I think we pull it out there in the clam chowder capital of the fucking world.
So Ricky, you got them going 4-0 to start the season.
4-0 to start the season. You bet.
Jesus, dude.
You bet. Yep.
I already know where he's going with this, but I'll let him have his fun. Dude, I think you guys are disrespecting Mike Vrabel. I don't even know what Bryson's.
Hell yeah, I'm disrespecting Mike Vrabel. He's an op. What are we talking about here?
Mike Vrabel, if you rewatched any of his Titans teams, it didn't matter who the hell was QB. It didn't matter how bad they were. They played every fucking team tough, and it was a blood match. Didn't
they have Derrick Henry?
Yeah, but they also had
like an equalizer.
Ramador Stevenson.
Who were their quarterbacks?
You mean Ramondre?
Yeah, however you say that fucking name.
And who were their wide receivers? Like
they had Ryan Tannehill. They had Ryan Tannehill, who at one point was in conversations for like the MVP.
Yeah, they did have AJ Brown for a bit.
They had AJ Brown, who didn't want to play for Mike Vrabel, I guess because he was such a good coach, right? Like,
oh boy!
Look, all I'm going to tell you, man, is that I'm just not going to be worried about a team in the New England Patriots that were dysfunctional on the field, and I don't think that a coach comes in and turns that around all by himself. I think that they have to build that program. I think that they tried to do it the right way by drafting in the trenches, right? And they signed Milton Williams. But outside of Milton Williams, who is the defensive player? Christian Gonzalez, I'll cede.
Yeah.
But who is the other defensive player on that defense that gives you a whole ton of nightmares? Not many. And I'm okay.
Landry. Yeah, Landry.
Harold Landry? You want me to worry about Harold Landry?
Yeah, he's coming off a bad year.
Harold
I know,
Landry?
But I think he played really well.
Curtis, I think that now you're just trying to be the opposite of me. Like Harold Landry? That's crazy.
But I think he's going to have a bounce back year. He played really well under Vrabel.
Okay, yeah, sure. And then
I'm just
Tom
saying.
Landry's going to come back and be the assistant coach for Mike Vrabel, right? Come on, I'm not worried about that shit. 4-0.
I think one thing, and I didn't realize this, they didn't add much. Oh, they got Kyle. Okay, I was trying to figure out who they drafted at wide receiver, but they got Kyle Williams. That's who I was getting through. I'm like,
and they signed Stephon Diggs too, right?
yeah, but like he's coming off of you're talking about injuries. I mean, this guy's coming off of a major injury too. So,
and then they have the best wide receiver in last year's draft, right? In Jalen Polk. So
if it was Ricky's decision,
Jalen Polk's going to have a comeback year, but it's going to start week 1, 2, 3, take a break on 4, and then go to 5.
See, Shannon's agreeing with me. You got to chill the hell out.
No, Shannon. I'm just getting started. There's only more to come.
All right, let's go. Let's go to Panthers now back-to-back road games here. We'll pair these together. So we got the Dolphins coming to town, and then Dallas, which will be a Dallas Cowboys home game at Bank of America Stadium. So, Ricky, we'll start with your chaotic ass. What do you think out of these two matchups?
So we're going to do 2 at a time here, right, for the back-to-backs?
This one here, yeah.
I think that the Dolphins, man, are an interesting team because their speed is going to legitimately give us some issue on the defensive side. Like, they just have a ton of speed, man. If they're healthy, their offensive line is going to be my biggest question mark there. Can they hold up? Look, our chat said this earlier. We haven't really mentioned Derek Brown coming back, but that is a significant piece to this puzzle when we talk about this Panthers defense. It's not only about the addition of Bobby Brown III. It's not only about the drafting of these 2 young edge rushers and the addition of Pat Jones. It is Derek Brown, man, who was one of the top 5 interior defensive linemen in the entire NFL coming back and having reinforcements around him. Not just Derek Brown against the world, right? You know those shirts, Carolina versus the world? It was like DB versus the world for the most part for him.
But we also can't assume he comes back pre-injury either, though.
Well, you know I can because I'm an optimistic Panthers fan, and I'm going to do that. Don't you ever try to put my rainbow back in the pot. My rainbow is out there shining right now. The Carolina Panthers are going to to take on
you got a double rainbow.
Yeah, you bet your ass I do. Yeah. I'm the fucking leprechaun. I got the gold, okay? The Carolina Panthers are going to have their second home game, and they're going to get their second win in their second home game. Now, the Cowboys coming into town is going to be difficult because the Cowboys literally pretty much own every city that they go to as far as fan bases. But when you got a team that's 5-0 and you got a young quarterback who has all of a sudden thrust his name into the MVP conversation in the first quarter of the season in 2025, the bank is actually going to look like a Panthers home game for this one. I think that Dak Prescott is going to do Dak Prescott things where he keeps them in the game, but he doesn't necessarily win them the game. They're going to turn around and they're going to say, hey, let's just hand the ball off to Rico. Oh, shit. Hold on. Wait a second. They're handing the ball off to Rico. We're handing the ball off to Miles Sanders. Okay, hold on. At least we can throw it to, hold on, checks the roster. Jonathan Mingo. Okay, so let me tell you this. The Panthers go 6-0, and they're 3-0 at the bank.
God, Ricky. Oh, all right. I always thought I was the optimistic one on the show, but damn, Ricky, you're blowing me out of the water, dude. Hey, I hope you're right, dude. I really do. I mean, that would be a dream come true for everyone in the Panthers fan base. But starting with the Dolphins, I agree. This is a team that obviously possesses speed, specifically at the wide receiver position with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. Tua, is he healthy? Is he going to get another concussion in every single game? I don't know, but when Tua's out there, that offense is operating at a very high level under the head coach that's slipping me, but
Mike McDaniel.
Yeah, Mike McDaniel. So I think this is one that Carolina loses, the Dolphins at home. Unfortunately, I think that offense is potentially going to be too much as long as they're healthy. And then with the Cowboys, I said earlier, I think the Patriots are going to be better than what people expect. I think the Cowboys are going to be a lot worse than what people are expecting. Brand new coach that was like a head scratcher of a hire in I think Brian Schottenheimer. They bring in my guy George Pickens. You know, he's great for the locker room. I think he's going to just all rainbows and sunshine there in that locker room.
Yeah.
As long as he's getting that ball. And like you mentioned, they lost their leading rusher. The defense is not getting any younger.
Rebuilding that offensive line.
Rebuilding the offensive line. So I think they win this one in the bank. So I guess that would put them at 4-2 for me.
And one other piece of analysis here in a legitimate way for that Dolphins game. Where do we see the Dolphins struggle? It's when it's a physical team, run first team that slows down the pace of the game.
Yeah.
And I think that is going to be the MO for Dave Canales. Canales is a smart coach. And I anticipate him being a much better head coach in year 2.
I'm shocked. I think the Dolphins, I think this is going to be a pretty handsome win for the Carolina Panthers. I don't have as much faith as you guys do. It sounds like in this Dolphins team. Well, yeah, you're just picking everyone. I know that. I know your MO here.
Motherfucker, I'm George Michael talking about faith.
Listen, damn it. I think, and I don't know if this, I don't really think this is a bold prediction because I do think he's on the hot seat. I think Mike McDaniels gets fired this year. And I think the Dolphins are one of the biggest messes in the NFL with Jalen Ramsey. Is he going to go? Are they going to trade him? The Tyreek Hill mess off the field. I think this team is a hot mess. You have two who can't stay healthy for half a season. And behind him, you have Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers. Like, this screams McDaniels fired, and they're going after a quarterback next year. Like, hot mess Miami team. I think Carolina, I think they whoop up on them, to be honest with you. And McDaniel, if they start off bad, he might not even be the coach for this game. So I'm going to go Panthers win.
Syrup with those hot takes? God damn.
I'm going to go the Panthers win this one. So I got them, 2? I don't know how to count. So 3-2 so far. So 3-2. Dallas, a different story. I think it's going to be a tough game. Again, it is going to be a Dallas home crowd. It always is. It's ridiculous when they come to town. So I think someone was asking about going to a home game. Don't go to that one. They're annoying as shit.
Go to that one. Everyone go to that one. Don't listen.
Please, we need you at that one.
Go to that game.
More than any other one.
Actually, we do need you at every game. I should be pushing you away. We do need Panther fans at games. But no, I think Dallas, if Dak is healthy, I think this is going to be a tough one for them. Pickens is going to be tough with CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, was it last year when Carolina has played Dallas like last couple years, I believe, and CeeDee Lamb, I believe, went off this past season against them. And then their defense, Micah Parsons, they got Ezeraku later on. So yeah, I'm with Bryson. I think their coaching hire is interesting and questionable, but I do think Dallas will play them tough and they'll get a loss. So they'll be 3-3.
Yeah,
they're 3-3 going into week 7. So
what could possibly go wrong with Brian Schottenheimer, George Pickens, Jonathan Mingo, and Miles Sanders? Ooh, we're in so much trouble.
I'm loving it tonight.
Hey, they got Miles Sanders, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about that secret weapon. Yeah, he had a great week 18, in case anyone didn't notice that.
And hey,
he told you about it 4 or 5 times.
They made the trade for Joe Milton. Look out. There's your Wildcat quarterback.
There's the goal line package right there.
You get to run orange 100 yards, Ricky. You get to run orange 100 yards.
Now. Yeah. Maybe he'll do a flip in the end zone and score 48 points.
Their secondary is interesting, though. I was just looking at.
Interesting is a weird way to say shit.
I can't even. I'm not even going to talk.
Yeah, you love this, don't you?
All right, let's go. Let's go back to back again here, Bryson. Let's have you start. So Jets. So after the 2 home games, they go Jets on the road, and then Buffalo at home. Which that Buffalo game is probably the one I'm most excited about.
I agree.
Of this schedule. So talk to us about those 2 games.
Jets is one of the easiest games on the schedule, in my opinion. New head coach. They're looking at Justin Fields as a starting quarterback. They're a rebuilding team. I think this game, going to New York is not ideal, but how motivated are the fans to come out and support the team? I don't know. They're also dealing with issues with ownership and fans being unhappy with their owner. So I think this game is one Carolina wins pretty comfortably. Now with Buffalo, this might be one of the biggest losses on the schedule. I don't want to say my Panthers are going to get blown out, but this is the best team that they play all year during the regular season. Josh Allen, just a hell of a fucking quarterback. And I've always been like kind of jealous of like the type of fan base they have, like jumping through tables that are like on fire and shit, and just like tailgating starting at 6 a.m. in like negative 20-degree weather with your shirts off. Like I'm excited for that game to like meet them and like hang out and like just be in an environment that like kind of just promotes craziness prior to the game. So I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to watch Josh Allen in person because I do think he is a hell of a quarterback. I think the Bills are going to be competing for a Super Bowl. I don't think that's a controversial take at all. They just got to get past the Chiefs. I think this game is a loss. So I got them winning at New York and then losing to Buffalo at home. It put them at I would have 4-2, 5-2, 5-3.
I'll go next, and then Ricky, you can finish us off here on the this set. I agree with Bryson. I think this Jets team, this is total rebuild mode for them. I think this is one of the easiest games on the schedule. We want to mention Steve Wilkes. Yeah, their defense might play well. It might be kind of low scoring maybe, but I do think Carolina wins this game. So that puts me, 4-3 Buffalo. I want to pick this as an upset, but not yet. I love this. Like I said, this is my favorite.
I know what you're saving that upset for.
You're damn right. You know what I'm saving it for. This is going to be a very fun game to go to. I think one of the out of all the games of the year, this is one. If you want to go to a game, Buffalo doesn't come to town a lot. This would be a fun one. You get to see a good matchup against a very premier AFC team and kind of see how Carolina stacks up with some of the top playoff teams in the league. And this is, I think, one of their first big tests of the year out of all these teams, honestly. So it's a good like halfway measuring stick for them. So I do think it's going to be a good game. I have faith, and I do honestly really want to pick as an upset, but I think it's going to be a tough one, and I think it's going to be close, but Carolina falls. So again, I'm even Steven here at 4-4.
Yeah. The Jets game I don't think is as even or as easy as both of you think, if you want to know my honest opinion. I actually think that's going to be a tough game. I like Aaron Glenn a lot as a coach. I think he's a really smart coach. I think he's a good defensive coach. And I think he'll have that unit ready to play. I think that the Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson combination is going to surprise some people. I think that Justin Fields, when he feels comfortable and feels like he has the coach's confidence behind him, I think he's a pretty good football player still. I might be in the minority with that, but I think he's a pretty good football player.
I'll be honest with you. I totally forgot about that tandem.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why I forgot about Garrett
I think
Wilson
that's going to be interesting. But before I go, I got to say the most important thing here. Hi, Mom. Thanks for watching.
Hey, Ms. Raines.
Okay, so back to my worry here about the Jets. The other part for this is that I think that when you hit 6-0 and you just beat the Cowboys, who have kind of reigned supreme on you, especially in your own stadium, right? That's prime position for a letdown game, especially going on the road after those two home games that I think you win to give you an emotional boost. I think that's prime position for a letdown. Fortunately for Carolina Panthers fans, it's not going to fucking happen. They're going to win this football game. 7-0. 7-0 is how we're starting the season.
Oh my God! Ricky,
then we get another AFC East foe to come into town, and it is exactly like Bryson said. These fools are going to be in overalls and jumping through tables that are on fire. And how do I know that to be true? Because Bryson and I will be setting the tables on fire. We'll be there. We will be taking active part in all of these shenanigans.
Oh yeah.
I look forward to that very, very much.
Wow, I got left out of this or what?
I look forward to that. Oh yeah, no, Curtis will be there too. Curtis will be over there cheering for the Bills because he's Mr. Negative Nancy and wants to bring us all down. He's not ready to say upset here. But you know what, Curtis? I'm not either, if we're going to be honest. I'm not ready to say upset either. because the Panthers should be favored to win this football game because we're the better football team this year in 2025. And AFC East is going to be a cakewalk for the NFC South champion Carolina Panthers. 8-0. Put it on the board. Sean McDermott is going to be wishing he was still the defensive coordinator in Carolina after what we do to his team.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, Ricky.
All right. I'll go next. Green Bay and the Saints. I'll be honest with you. I had no idea Carolina was playing Green Bay this year, and I figured that out during the draft when I was talking to one of my friends. They're like, yeah, Panthers are traveling to Lambeau. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I had no idea. This is the upset. This is the upset I want. This is the upset we all need for my own sanity. On the road, I think this is a big year for Jordan Love in where he stands. And I know he's kind of been up and down, but I do think this is a big year for him. And they went out and for the first time since Javon Walker got a number one wide receiver in the first round. So this is a big deal for the Green Bay Packers to go out and get Matthew Golden, the speedster, the guy Mike K loved on this show. So, they go out and surround him with weapons. And I saw what Bryce Young did in that first Packers matchup a couple years ago, and I'm hoping he turns a tide. He literally just ran out of time. If they had more time, I think Carolina's in the win column in that game. So I'm going to go the Panthers upset the Packers at Lambeau Field, and they're 5-4 on the year. And we're starting to turn the tide here. So we go against the Saints. I think Carolina, and I had a Saints fan who I work with come up to me this week and said, congratulations, you're at least a lock to be third in the NFC South. The Saints will be the worst team in this division, and that was coming from a Saints fan. So I think Carolina, if they don't sweep the Saints this year, I have issues. So I think they go in, they come off of a win at Lambeau, and they beat the piss out of the Saints at home. And Panthers are sitting at 6-4 on the year for the first time in a goddamn eternity. So I will take that any day of the week, and a little bit more realistic than Ricky's 8-0 or wherever we're at right now.
Horseshit.
All right, Bryson, what do you got?
Ricky gave us his prediction on the intro graphic, so we know where we're going.
Somebody was paying attention.
All right. I agree, Curtis. I think Carolina goes to Green Bay and wins. I really do. You mentioned the game that Bryce Young balled out in, and I'm pulling for the win for you. So I think Carolina goes, shocks people, pulls the upset, and people are starting to take this team seriously because I think even starting, I think I have them at 5-3 right now. Like starting 5-3 team. I mean, nobody's taking Carolina seriously, even with that record. So they go to Green Bay, they win, they're 6-3, they upset Green Bay at Green Bay. Then they go to the Saints. The Saints are going to be the worst team in the NFL this year. They really are. They might not win a game. I mean, it's going to be bad. They're looking at Rattler, Shuck, or however you say his name, the quarterback they drafted that a lot of people were actually higher on than I really knew about.
Shuck is a perfect thing to call him. Yeah, because that's what he does with the football. He just shucks it up there.
And then who's the other guy they have? Jake Hayner.
Yeah. Really good glamour poses on his pictures.
Talk about a quarterback room. I think the only team with a more interesting quarterback room is probably the Cleveland Browns. But I mean, the Panthers are going to sweep the Saints. They really are. So that puts them at 7-3 for me, with some interesting games coming up on the schedule.
Yep. I think that Lambeau game is interesting. I really like their head coach, Bryson. I really like their coach. I think that he's a smart guy. Curtis was talking about they went and got the wide receiver, Matthew Golden, in the first round, and that was really big for them until he said he was going to wear the number 22 jersey. That's ugly as shit. Yeah, that's terrible news. Ugh. And everyone thinks he's going to take over the Christian Watson role because he's fast. Well, Christian Watson actually plays fast as the wide receiver. Yeah. Matthew Golden doesn't. And Matthew Golden runs really good routes. He's got good hands. But they got a couple of players that do that same thing. Jaden Reed, they just came back and they tried to instill confidence in Jaden Reed and say, hey, drafting Matthew Golden doesn't change anything. Jaden Reed is our number one. Well, I'm here to tell you, man, if Jaden Reed is their number one, then we don't have much to be worried about. I think that the Carolina Panthers go in there and we play against Jordan Love, and he plays a little bit more like Jordan kind of sort of like, right? I don't think that he's going to be Jordan Love. And the Green Bay Packers, Green Bay pack them up. It's not Wisconsin, it's Wisconsin. So Panthers go in, they win it. We are
right.
10-0.
I'm glad I was here to hear that.
We're going to win that one. And then we come home and we play the NFL team formerly known as the New Orleans Saints. They're not an NFL team anymore. This is a awesome moment for Panthers fans because I want nothing more than to see reality crash down on division rivals. So I think that I've been waiting for like the salary cap shoe to drop, right? That just cripples them and turns them into, poof, fairy dust. But instead, it was Derek Carr that tore the empire down. How wonderful is that? And the good news for them, though, is that they did get rid of their really disappointing head coach, Dennis Allen, and bring in the Wurlitzer world beater, Kellen Moore. So they at least have that going for them, right? Maybe he can get out there and hold the ball up and do the Statue of Liberty play and trick somebody or something like that, because that's about all that he's going to bring to it. Hopefully the muscle hamster Doug Martin is going to come running through the tunnel, because the Saints, dude, they need all the help they can get. I've been a little bit hesitant to be braggadocious with my picks so far on this show tonight, fellas, but I'm going to go ahead and call this one 542-1. I think that they're going to be the only NFL team in the history that gets an extra point out of pity, and I think that's how we win this football game. So what does that put me at? 12-0 or 11-0? Where am I at, guys? I need to know so that I'm
10,
accurate about my picks.
10, I think.
Okay, 10-0. Thank you, Bryson. 10-0.
And Bryson, what are you at now with your record?
7-3. I had them beating the Packers and the Saints as well. The Saints are going to get swept. They're going to be the worst team in the NFL.
Chat, can you guys imagine having a quarterback room of Shuck, Rattler, and the other
Jake Hainer? Yeah.
It sounds like a drinking game.
It doesn't sound like happy we're not in that.
Sounds like a law firm.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a really bad trip to Vegas. Like, what happened? Why are you guys needing bail bondsmen? Well, it started with a Shuck and then a Rattler and then somebody Jake Hainer. Like, like that sounds like a fucking problem, not a quarterback room.
James Cody won our draft hat. James, let us know if it arrived. I'm not sure. I hope it did. And
Curtis just sent it out with a carrier pigeon, no address or anything. You just told him to bring it to James.
And James, if it didn't, you can blame the Postal Service. Hopefully it did, though. I think it should by now. All right, where were we? Okay, so we go back. So the Panthers have back-to-back road games after the Saints victory. So Atlanta, week 11. Awesome. So look at that. There's the proof. He has gotten the draft hat. James, if you do, I know you're new on Twitter, but if you want to post a picture with the hat, we would appreciate that and tag us. If you don't want to, that's cool too. But I'm glad you participated last week. We did a giveaway on here, and we might have one more here coming up at some point as well. So
definitely going to have giveaways, especially when the Panthers are on this 10-game win streak.
But while we're paused here for a second, if you do not subscribe to our channel, please do. We are closing in on 900 subscribers, and then we are very close, obviously, then to 1,000 subscribers, and that has been our goal for a while. So if you can get us closer to that, we would appreciate every single one of you for doing it. So if you do not subscribe to our channel, please do. It's the little subscribe button. Hit the bell as well. It'll notify you when we have new episodes. And yeah, like Ricky said, we'll be doing giveaways. I know I have one already ready to go. We just got to do it at some point with y'all. So, but let's get to these next couple games here. I'm not sure who started last. I think I started. Let's go Bryson here on these next two. So both road games, and our first one of the year, finally on primetime television.
Yeah, so it's spectacular. The Falcons get, 5 primetime games, and we only get one? That's absolutely crazy. But I said earlier that I think Carolina splits with Atlanta. Honestly, I'm sitting here looking at it. I'm like, damn, there's a chance Panthers could sweep Atlanta this year. But I'm going to stick with my earlier, gut feeling, and I'll give them the loss here reluctantly. I think that it is a possibility Carolina wins this game. So that would put them at 7-4. And then the Monday night game in San Francisco, playing a team that's, if healthy, very fucking good with a very good head coach. I think they lose this one too. I really do. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Carolina's going to be competitive in it. They're going to look competent, at least on national television. And I think that's a win kind of in Carolina's book because haven't looked the greatest on national television other than Thursday Night Football in a long time. So I have them losing both of these games. That would put them at 7-5 for me.
Shout out Panther Bo. First of all, thank you, Panther Bo, for making your way to us on a Wednesday. I know that this is a weird night for us to be doing our show. We typically do them on Tuesdays and Thursdays and Fridays. But also, this comment is one of my favorites so far tonight. It says that he's subscribed, but Curtis's early prediction makes him want to undo it. Hey, Panther Bo, lock in with me, man, because I got some good news for you, buddy. Earlier, when we were talking about that Falcons home game, I mentioned that, yeah, man, I think they split, right? But I have to keep y'all on your toes. I don't want you getting accustomed to what I am picking here. And so I'm going to turn heel right now on this one. They're not going to lose this game in Atlanta. They're going to go down there, and they're going to beat the Falcons in Atlanta. Michael Penix Jr. and his pretty spirals and all that stuff, he's going to throw a pretty spiral directly to Trayvon Merrick for a pick six. That is going to be the difference maker in that football game. The same way that Bryce Young threw a pick six to Jesse Bates and everyone deemed him a bust and it was over for him. Yep. We're going to give Penix Jr. that same treatment in Atlanta, in that giant Mercedes dome that they have there. It's going to be the same thing. While everyone is paying $14 for the tater tots or whatever it is that they're doing, and Arthur Smith is down there introducing himself to everyone and asking who their dad is, right? Because that's what he does. He's old as shit. And he wants to know if he knows your parents. We're going to be out there working those dirty shitbirds down. So chalk that up, 11-0 on the season. Going into what I would call Candlestick. Are they still Candlestick anymore? Probably not, right? That's an old person's thing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Doesn't matter. I'm going to call it Candlestick. They're going to go into Candlestick on November 24th on a Monday night. And Brock Purdy is still going to be their quarterback despite all their fans saying they need to make a change. Because they're going to be tired of Brock Purdy when he doesn't have Debo Jones. When Jawan Johnson is their wide receiver one because Brandon Ayuk isn't all the way healthy yet, or Brandon Ayuk doesn't feel like playing with Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan anymore. And they're looking at that team and they're saying, well, look, Christian McCaffrey, he's just taken a couple of weeks off. You know, he hasn't played since week 2 or whatever. He's getting primed for later. And they've got Isaac Guerrero running the ball. That's going to be a problem for them. They're going to be clamoring for Mac Jones after what Bryce Young does to this football team on Monday Night Football on the West Coast. And this starts a 2-game stint against West Coast teams. But this one's gonna circle the end for the San Francisco Empire and the beginning for the Carolina Panthers. 12-0.
All right, I'll go next. Fuck the Falcons again. Give me the Panthers 1,001-0. They shut them out on the road. And then San Francisco, there's going to be some way. I have a feeling, even though this is late in the season, I'm like, is McCaffrey going to be healthy? There's going to be some weird thing where McCaffrey finds a way to play this game. Like he hasn't, I don't think, has he played Carolina since the trade?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
There is going to be some weird thing. Like he'll be out weeks. He'll be out for weeks and somehow he'll be able to play. It's just going to happen that way. I think this is going to be a tough one. If this San Francisco team is healthy, I think Carolina in the spotlight, it's going to be too much for them. So I think I'm at 7. I was at 7-4. So now we're at 7-5.
Serious question. Y'all believe in their offensive line like that?
Trent Williams.
Outside of Trent, name one.
Did they have McGlinchey?
Mike McGlinchey. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you think did you like him?
I don't know much about him. I just know the name.
I like the kid they had, Dominic Puny, their interior player, the rookie last year. Like him, but their offensive line is a problem.
Yeah.
It's not good, man.
No, I didn't realize, I didn't look that closely at their O-line. Their targets, I mean, if like Ayuk is healthy and Kittle and like that, Kittle, Ayuk and McCaffrey tandem scare me if they're healthy. If they're not, like if you, and there's a very big possibility at week 12 that not everyone is healthy on that team.
Yeah, I asked this question too, though. When Debo wasn't healthy for them, didn't that make a huge difference to their offense when Debo wasn't on the field? I mean, he's not going to be on the field.
I think we can't forget about Pearsall. I think he came on pretty well late.
I have no problem forgetting about Pearsall, and I think that Brock Purdy won't have much of a problem forgetting about him either.
You were a hater of Pearsall last year?
Yeah, no, I'm not a Ricky Pearsall guy. I'm not a truther. I think that he's a fine wide receiver 3. I think that he can.
I mean, I don't think he's Debo, but I do think you still got to account for him a little bit. But
I mean, sure, people technically had to account for Jonathan Mingo was on the field. If you got a hot body on the field, you got to account for it.
You're just being ruthless tonight.
No, I'm very serious. I just think that San Francisco offense. I think
you're right about the offensive line. I don't know anyone outside of Trent Williams.
I think it's being really undersold, though, how much attention Deebo Samuel, even when his skill set diminished a little bit, him being on the field, man, was something that people accounted for way more than anyone else on that team. Brandon Ayuk is a better receiver, but Brandon Ayuk saw a lot of single coverage because of Deebo Samuel underneath. I think I have more faith in Pearsall, and I also have a lot of faith in Shanahan just as a coach. I think to make up for that.
As long as it's not the playoffs.
I got more faith in the Carolina Panthers, so let's go.
All right. Well, we do have a super chat here, and we do appreciate Mike Hollinger. Extra. Ricky has Panthers 2025 season surpassing 2015.
Let's go.
Fucking go.
Stick around, Mike. We got more coming, buddy. Cheers,
Mike. Appreciate the $5.
Cheers, Mike. Now, did you like that McGlinchey pool? Did you think I'd be?
No, that was nice. That was really good work, man. I got to give you lots of credit on that one. That was terrific. Because I think 8 out of 10 fans, you ask them, was somebody outside of Trent Williams on that offensive line, they're not going to give it to you. So major props for you. And by the way, if anyone doesn't know this, Bryson was the only one that defended Teteroa McMillan when people were questioning if he liked football or not.
I wanted to bring
that up because he was right about that.
He needs the banner in the back of his room.
Come on, guys. You said you would do it.
I'm going to make the banner. It's going to say Carolina Panthers 17-0 because Bryson believed in Teteroa McMillan.
Yep. And because Ricky picked them in the off-season show about the schedule release.
Thank you, Bryson. I appreciate your support, man. And Shannon, I appreciate your support as well. Ricky got the 5th gemstone tonight. And did I get the 5th gemstone like him, or am I just one of the righteous gemstones where I say outrageous, ridiculous shit like Danny McBride? You know, who knows? But either way, I appreciate that reference.
Zach Griffin is bursting everyone's bubble here.
He doesn't play for him?
Oof.
What?
Oof.
Okay. All right. I'll take my L.
But hold on. But Zach, did he play for him last year? Because I think that Bryson was going off of who was out there last year.
Possibly.
I thought that Mike was still on the roster, but he might not have been. He might not have been.
Find out here.
Should we start with the Rams?
He was in Denver the last couple of years. Since 2023.
All right.
Well,
so I guess you didn't like that McGlinchey pool. Then.
No, I still liked it. You know, I got blinders on right now, Bryson. Like, you could say anything about
he's been a mood. You just got to start making shit up. He might believe you.
Yeah. No, now's a great time that if somebody wants to knock on my door and try to sell me broadband internet, I might fucking buy it. You know, like
Greg Little. Little plays for the
Greg Little, terrific left tackle, terrific guy. Yeah,
one guy we
taking him for Trent Williams.
One guy we didn't mention at all, and I know how you guys feel about him, but Michael Williams. Getting to see him going up against Carolina will be,
in theory,
interesting.
In theory, he's going to have to be healthy, and I don't know if they're going to have anyone else playing.
He's got to be out YGM.
Well, hey, YGM had a pretty decent year.
He did. He did.
Hey, look, I liked Michael Williams a lot. I still think that he has a lot of potential, but since he is now on the San Francisco 49ers, I'm going to say this. If they have anyone else that is already putting up 2 or 3 sacks, he may not need to see the field because his job already might be taken. So,
not a fan of Michael Williams. Not worried at all about seeing him in Week 12.
If anyone wants really just like not good analysis from me ever, and they think that I'm way too fucking jargony and technical on a regular basis, watch this episode over and over and over because tonight is about the Carolina Panthers and nothing else.
Yep.
All righty. Well, Bryson, why don't you kick us off? You can go the Rams and then the Saints again since there's a bye there.
Yeah, okay. Rams game at home. So this would be another interesting home game to go watch. See Sean McVay, his handsome self, standing on the sidelines. Matthew Stafford. You get to see Puka. Unfortunately, not Cooper Kupp, right? Cooper Kupp is
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams. I forgot about that. That's coll So yeah,
that's cool.
He's
cool,
like, oh,
yeah.
Maybe Mike McGlinchey might get a snap or two. Who knows?
Mike McGlinchey might be playing quarterback for him. You never know.
know.
Matthew Stafford's old, so and then we have our week 14 bye week, which is crazy. But LA, that's gonna be a tough game. I don't think this is one Carolina wins. I think they're competitive. If I had to guess, like overall games that they're just not competitive in, I would just say the Bills, and I think that there's a chance that they are in that one, but that's the one I would put most of my eggs in my basket in. I think LA is beatable. I think they showed that last season and the season before, but I think overall this is just a team with a better coaching staff. Their defense is improving. They have the young guys they drafted last season. I think Fisk and the other guys escaping me, but
Kobe Turner,
Jared
Verse, yeah. So
Verse, yeah.
I think they're a talented team. Puka scares the hell out of me. He's a beast at wide receiver. So I think they lose this one, put them at 7-6 for me. They win the bye week. Thank God they go 13 weeks in a row. Not even like a mini bye with a Thursday night football game. They get a break finally. Then they get to play the Saints in New Orleans and murder them. It's going to be not close. Carolina's going to win by multiple scores, maybe triple scores, and then they come out of New Orleans being 8-6.
Yeah, I think Carolina's got a chance against the Rams if Stafford isn't under center, and that could very likely happen. I mean, this might be his last year in the league, from where he was with debating. We all know about their offseason this past year, where it was kind of up in the air with his future in Los Angeles. So if he isn't healthy, I think Carolina has a chance in this game. But if he's on the field, their defense, their front sevens worries me. And then you add in Devontae Adams with Puka Nacua. I mean, that's going to be tough.
That's cool.
So I'm going to go with a loss here against the Los Angeles Rams. I think it'll be a cool game, like Bryson said, because LA doesn't come. Shut up. I don't think they get the win though at home. I'm with Bryson. This late bye annoys the shit out of me that they don't. And usually Carolina will get a Thursday night game somewhere in here. It's usually against Atlanta in like November. It always seems like. But late bye, Carolina rests up for a cupcake of a team in the New Orleans Saints. So give me a win there. So we're sitting at 8-6.
Yeah, we're the same overall schedule right now.
Ricky, let's fire away here.
Okay, well, look, here's the deal. First of all, y'all keep talking about we don't have a bye until week 14. Don't y'all see that box right there that says bye on week 10, November 9th? That's our first bye.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That's our first bye. We get to rest all of our starters and let 12 Mike McGlincheys play because we get to play 12 of them, not 11. 12 Mike McGlincheys get to play against the Saints.
Oh, my God.
So we have two byes, week 10 and week 14, and then we get another one right after the bye. We got a 2-week bye there. Let's start with the Rams. The Rams are a good football team. They're a well-coached football team. Like that is the honest to God truth, man. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to give like my actual analysis here on it. Bryson, you said it. Puka Nacua scares you. He scares me, man. That is a football player that plays receiver. And I mean that in like the most like complimentary way that I can say it. There is nothing you could ask him to do that he's not willing to do and that he's not going to be good at doing. And that's like my favorite kind of player to watch. Kyren Williams, I don't think we've mentioned his name yet, right? The running back for the Rams.
Forgot about him.
That's a good running back, man. He was a underrated part of that team. Devontae Adams. James Cody gave a comment earlier, and he says that he loves playing the Rams later in the year. They're not going to have legs at this time of year. Entirely possible, James. The other thing that's entirely possible here that makes me a little bit more nervous is that Devontae Adams is going to have 10 weeks to learn that McVay offense and find his seating and find the chemistry between him and Puka Nacua and Kyren Williams and their tight end that they just re-signed. all of that gives me a little bit of pause. Jared Verse, I think, is one of the ascending defensive players in this NFL league. I think Jared Verse is the absolute truth. I think he's going to be a problem. But guess what the kryptonite is, fellas? Guess what the kryptonite is?
Bank of America Stadium.
No. Christian Roseboom.
Oh,
Christian
yeah.
He's
gonna give us all the secrets.
Win this football game for his team, the Carolina Panthers, over his former team,
Not
the
Bobby
Los
Brown.
Angeles Rams. What did you
Not
say?
Bobby Brown.
And Bobby Brown. No, Bobby Brown is great, but Christian Roseboom is going to be the one that really shines in this one. Bobby Brown is going to be the unheralded hero of the team this season. I mean that sincerely. We are going to look fondly back on Bobby Brown's production and his play in the 2025 season, the way that we do often about like our middle school days, right? Like middle school didn't mean shit to us in the large scale of things, but damn it, wasn't it fun as a 7th grader? Didn't we have a nice time? That's Bobby Brown's 2025. Maybe he doesn't get 5 sacks. Maybe he doesn't put up 80 tackles, but damn it, was he good, right? But Christian Roseboom on November 30th against the Los Angeles Rams, he's going to go for about 14 tackles in place of Josie Jewell.
That was my question.
Hey, look, and it's not because Josie didn't earn it. Josie got a day off so that he can enjoy the 3-week bye because he's one of the older players on the team, and we're going to let him take a little bit of a breather.
He went to Cabo.
We're going to let him go to Cabo. That's right, man. He's going to be drinking Jimmy Buffett tequila or whatever it is that he does. You know what I mean? He'll have a straw hat on with his hair tied up underneath it. But Christian Roseboom is going to have him a game. He's going to bring the boom. He's going to cause a forced fumble. He's going to have 14 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, maybe a sack. And he's going to be the difference maker when the Carolina Panthers squeak this one out 47-10. Then we go into the bye week, and then we go up against the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are still trying to figure out what sport they're supposed to be playing. So when they come out with the round ball with the black and the white squares on it, they're going to be saying football is life, and then we're going to annihilate them 1,400-2. We give them 2 extra points, not a 2-point conversion, but 2 extra points out of pity this time. The Carolina Panthers are now 12-0, or wait, 14-0. Yeah.
Doug has
This is what you signed up for, Doug. This is coming on the show tomorrow, buddy. No, I'm kidding. I promise you, I will tone it down to like a 16-1 tomorrow.
All right, I'll go here. I'll start. So back-to-back home games. We'll finish it out. So Tampa Bay at home, Seattle at home, and Tampa Bay on the road. I was telling Ricky before the show, I'm getting really tired of these late season division, non-division, division, end of the year games. It always seems it's been Tampa recently. These are going to be tough games because I think Tampa is going to be towards the top of this division. They've been getting their ass kicked against this team, and we'll see if another OC for the Buccaneers is going to impact them. Can their wide receivers stay healthy? That was something they struggled with last year. They still whooped up on the Panthers. Didn't matter. I could see Carolina losing both the Tampa Bay games, to be honest with you.
I bet you could.
Seattle, if Sam Darnold's still the quarterback, give me the Panthers by 1 million in that one. So I'll go.
Somebody else is the quarterback? Who's the other one that you think could beat us? Wait, I'm confused.
I don't even know
who's the one that you think wins.
Well, I don't even know who their other QB is. I don't know. I was just making it know. Oh, okay.
Not gonna let me live that shit down. All right.
Hey, I agree with you.
God damn it! Let me give my prediction.
Sorry, Curtis. Go ahead and pick the other team.
I'm gonna say Panthers fall to the Bucs twice and give me Seattle once.
See?
So what does that put me at?
Hater.
What were we at, Bryson?
I think that puts you at 9-8.
Oh, 9-8. Yeah, I think that's realistic. So 9-8. Panthers finish year 9-8. And I honestly think that might be enough to get into the playoffs. I don't know if that wins the division.
Wild.
But it might get them into the playoffs. We'll see.
All right, I'll take it real quick. I think they split with the Bucks. I do think it's a possibility that they get swept, but I'm not gonna admit that in my official prediction for the schedule release. So I got them winning the game at home versus the Bucks. Got them winning the game versus the Seahawks and Sam Darnold, then losing the game at Tampa to end the season. So my record for this prediction is 10-7 for the season.
The fun part about this is when we look back on it, we're going to be able to say, hey, we all finished pretty close with our record prediction, right?
Yeah, like, relatively.
Yeah, pretty close. We all had the same train of thought. We all went about this in a very professional, systemic way. All right, so let's start it off with the Buccaneers at home, December 21st.
You seem way too tamed right now. I'm concerned.
Look now. This is the team that Curtis could easily see sweeping us. This is the team that Bryson said, yeah, I mean, maybe they could sweep us. But I'm not going to say it. Not on my official schedule release day. And I appreciate that part at least, right?
Amen.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate you. I think that I see it a little bit differently. Shocker. Guys, I think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think that Curtis was right about one thing. I think they're going to be towards the top, but I think they're going to be staring up at the Carolina Panthers, who are just dangling their massive junk right over the heads of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, just teabagging them all year because we're up at the top of that totem pole, just resting them right on the top. You remember the Saints mascot from that episode we did where his chin, and Panther Bo pointed this out towards the end, where the chin just looked like a large set? That's what's just going to be resting on the foreheads of the NFC South all season, man. I mean, I'm talking like you could brew matcha, green tea, black tea, ulu tea, whatever you want with the tea bag that we're going to be giving the NFC South. That one's a win. 15-0 Carolina Panthers at home, which, by the way, if you're keeping track at home, we've won every home game in my predictions as well. The Seattle Seahawks, this is a to-be-determined game time and game date. It is not a to-be-determined result. Carolina Panthers win this one as well, 16-0, and they sweep the regular season at home in the bank. The bank is now secured, and we are the best home team in the entire NFL. But this is the tricky one. Is Tampa Bay right at the end when we're resting our starters? That's the tough part. And I can't in good faith give a unrealistic take here to our listeners on Panthers on Tap. I can't do that. I think that they expect more out of us. And so I am just going to give my most truthful analysis I can give. Jack Plummer goes absolutely apeshit and throws for 5 touchdowns. And he ends up signing a $150 million contract to take over for Baker Mayfield in Tampa after what the third OC in 3 years sees out of the Carolina Panthers. Superstar third-string quarterback Andy Dalton didn't play because we are also saving him just in case we needed him to do anything. We don't know if Mike McGlinchey is going to be healthy or not, so we need to make sure that Andy is. So I think that we end up winning this game again. It's going to be a close one. They end up winning by about 32 points at the finale with the third-string offensive defense.
Wow, that's the closest one you predicted.
Close game, and I'm not 100% confident on it. It's more like 101.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
17-0.
17-0.
Wow.
And what I was saying about us
never
being close.
it.
So, Curtis, you were 9-8. If you add those two together, you actually get mine. And Bryson, you were 10-7. If you add those two together, you actually get mine. So, look, the three of us are in the same ballpark.
We're all essentially 17-0.
I have a question for you on those Bucs games.
Yes.
Do the Panthers score several touchdowns on your homeboy, Jacob Parrish?
Easily. Yep. Over and over and over. And they're all going to be like high point jump ball situations in the red zone where T-Mac every single time
dunking on him,
he gives them the little too short pose. And then Xavier Legette, again, too short. He's going to be riding dollar bill back and forth, but he's going to be having a sign that says, you must be this tall to cover me. And it's going to be pointed right at Jacob Parrish. Jacob, I'm very sorry, man. I'm a huge fan of yours, but they are going to annihilate you, bud. You're on the opposite team now.
Wow. Mind blown.
Panther fucking Ricky. Let's go.
You heard it here first. Oh, my goodness. Oh wow. Well, I think we're gonna leave it there. Did you guys like any of the? Yeah, we'll let
Tune
it
in
rest.
next
That
week for
was-
our postseason predictions.
You'll never be able to guess where Ricky has the Carolina Panthers going.
Just you wait. It's a huge surprise.
Well, no, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. We almost had 700 folks tune into our live stream. And if you do not subscribe to our YouTube channel, please do. We are trying to get to 1,000 and we're closing in on 900 as we speak. So we would appreciate the love. And we want to thank everyone in the chat, also the super chat who participated tonight and gave your guys his predictions as well. We all know Ricky's on crack. But
I'm on pace for being
we do
correct.
appreciate the rich optimism from you. But until next time, you guys have a good night and keep pounding.
All the way to 17-0.